Hello and welcome to the third part of Fundamentals of Hangar development. This is another episode of War Robots Basics where I speak about principles of the game that may be especially interesting for newer players. In the first part we looked into a practical and strategic approach on how you can develop your War Robots Hangar from zero. In the second part we briefly looked into Silver Gear, which is the foundation of each hangar, robots, weapons and modules. Today we are going to talk about Titans, Titan weapons and Titan modules. By the way, by coincidence, within the next few days we will have a Titan rebalance coming into the game, so this video may be interesting for you. Let's go! In part 1 we looked into different rows of robots for your hangar, and if we briefly stick to this model here for a second, you will realize that Titans actually can fit into 2 out of these 5 roles. They either can be a tank or a supporter. Let's start with the tank role. As it is for robots, tanks usually run brawling weapons and are optimized for surviving as long as possible. They typically provide high short-range DPS and lock beacons down. Typically Titans that are used as tanks are the Arthur, the Minos and the Luchador. The most popular setups that top players run these days are the Minos with 3 Sinners and the Luchador with 2 Sinners and a Grom. Titans in a support role are typically optimized for mid-range damage support. They usually do not have as much health as Titans that are used as a tank, but they typically have particular support abilities that come in very handy in team-based game modes. Typical Titans that are used as supporters are the Muramets, the Nodens and the Ao Ming. So can you set up a tank Titan as a support Titan or the other way around? The answer is yes, but the problem is that it is not as effective in its role as other Titans would be. Imagine for example the Luchador with blinding weapons. For sure it can be a very effective support Titan, sniping rats from afar, but at the same time, if it stays in this role, its 2 abilities are a bit wasted, and so is its huge amount of health. On the other hand, you can put 2 Groms and a Cinder on the Muramets, but as soon as it comes into brawling range, when its weapons become most effective, it will simply die quickly because its health is very low. So always try to use tank Titans as tanks and support Titans as supporters. So now you will maybe get an idea why one of the newest Titans, the Heimdall, is not so popular, simply because it was designed wrong. The problem of the Heimdall is that its abilities are for short-range team support, so in this sense it's a tank. But at the same time its health is quite low and it is also quite slow, so this only works well when it keeps some distance. So it's some sort of weird hybrid of tank and supporter, which on the battlefield is not so useful compared to other Titans that are more streamlined towards their roles. And that is why only a few top players are using it in the highest leagues, at least in beacon games. We will see if the upcoming Titan rebalance will solve this initial design fault. I'm actually not quite sure about this. As always, Team Deathmatch is a bit of a special case where tanks in support roles can work quite well. For example, an Arthur with blinding weapons, or even the Heimdall with its short-range healing ability, that it can use in that case for keeping teammates alive that are hit by long-range fire. So let's speak a bit about your options now when you are quite new in the game. Once you have reached a level that grants you a Titan, when I created this video in August 2022, this was at pilot level 27, you get a kit with a Retaliator, 2 Vengeance weapons and 3 basic modules for free. These are quite reasonable weapons for now that provide good DPS, but instead of leveling anything up at that point, I would rather save up any platinum that you get in the near future. Maybe you're lucky and through chests you will win better Titan related gear, but if you do not get anything, the next step should be to figure out what your preferred playstyle is. Are you more a brawler type of player that prefers to be at the front end with a tank? Are you more a support player that likes to shoot things from a bit more of a distance, maybe also healing up your teammates? And other than that, which game modes do you prefer to play? Are you a squad player or a solo player? Can your Titan compensate for what you're lacking in your hangar? Are you free to play or are you willing to invest a bit of money into your hobby? Answering these questions will eventually lead you in which direction you should go in Titan development. But out of all the answers, I would strongly recommend you to give most weight to the one of your preferred playstyle. In the end, Titans overall should be fun to play, so you should not invest all your resources in a range healer Titan if you just love close range brawling. So when we come back to our model of roles in our hangar, a Titan can be set up as a tank or as a supporter in general, but in its role it should more be something like another more powerful lead bot. Keep in mind that all the principles that we talked about in part 2, the buff nerf cycle, the introduction of OP gear, rebalances and so on, they also apply for Titans. It's just that the base currency is different, platinum instead of silver. Of course this was introduced by Big Sonic on purpose in order to have another cash cow in the game. Also for platinum upgrades, there are quite frequent events that are called overdrives. And they also offer similar benefits, minus 10% off or sometimes even 25% off. As it was for silver upgrades, I would also strongly recommend you to only upgrade Titan gear during these events that are usually active for 24 hours. Be careful to only upgrade Titan gear that will serve you in long terms. This is the reason why you should not upgrade your kit, your retaliator, your vengeance weapons or any of the modules that came with them. A few months later it will be nothing but a waste of platinum. If you chose to build a tank, short-range DPS weapons work best on these setups. For example cinders or any kinds of shotguns. For support titans, mid-range weapons work best. At the moment, the most popular ones are blinding lasers or magnetic weapons. But we will need to wait what the impact of the rebalance will be, because they will get a nerf. If you mostly play team deathmatch, also strikers can be an option, which are the only titan weapons able to shoot from up to 800 meters range. The lighting weapons Cataclysm and Cyclone are a special case, as they provide reasonable DPS at long range and high DPS at short range. However, they have two major disadvantages: long reload times and they require lock-on, which is not ideal if you run into any opponents with blinding weapons or stealth abilities. By the way, in order to target opponents that run stealth, you have three possibilities when you run titans. Either you run cinders, which provide a short-range area effect, or you run magnetic weapons that can lock on your target in front of your titan, or you run a quantum sensor as passive module, which provides permanent quantum radar for up to 350 meters. Small hint that not everybody knows, quantum sensors stack up and increase the range to 700 meters if you equipped two maxed ones. For this reason, you can for example build an anti-Muramets that can hit stealth targets up to 700 meters. This is also possible because the Muramets has two universal module slots, and this brings me to an important difference to regular robots. Each Titan, except the kit, has 4 passive module slots, and each one of them is either an assault slot, a defense slot or a universal slot. Assault and defense slots only allow you to fit certain modules. How many of these each Titan has depends on the individual Titan. The Muramets, for example, has 2 universal ones and 2 assault ones. This makes sense because the Muramets is designed as a damage support Titan and has great firepower but comparably little health. The Luchador, for example, is designed as a short-range brawler, so it also has 2 universal slots, but instead of assault it has 2 defense slots. Similar to all other gear, also Titan modules have tiers, which is represented by their color. Titan armor kits and singular reactors are blue, which indicates that they are tier 2 modules. Purple ones indicate tier 3 modules, which are more powerful, and the latest and most powerful modules are tier 4, indicated by orange. So in short, if you don't know too much about modules, the orange ones are the ones worth upgrading. Upgrading modules in general makes a lot of sense, because also these can be transferred from one Titan to another one, and many of them only get really powerful when they are maxed out. By the way, good to know, this is usually the same when you upgrade your Titans. Some of them will only get very powerful when they are maxed, because the benefits the Titans get when you upgrade one of their 3 subsystems, hull, core and engine, are often not improved linearly. Instead, Titans tend to get more benefits when one of the subsystems is close to being maxed out. Let's have a look at this Muramets, for example. You can see that it gets 2 defense points if you upgrade its hull from level 1 to level 2. However, you will get 9 more defense points at once if you upgrade it from level 47 to 48. That brings me to a frequent question: which of the 3 subsystems should you upgrade first? Again, it depends a bit on your Titan. Many players distribute the upgrade levels evenly among the 3 systems, but for tank Titans I found it most useful to give a bit of priority to hull, while for support Titans it can make sense to concentrate a bit more on the core system. Another frequent question is, how much platinum does it take to max out a full Titan or a full Titan weapon? The answer is, it depends. So far, upgrading any Titan or any Titan gear has cost the same, regardless if it was a kit or luchador. However, after the upcoming rebalance, this will change. Pixonic decided to make it cost more than before for high performance items and less than before for stuff that is less competitive. Only after the rebalance we will know the exact numbers and impact, but just as a first indication, in this video's description you can find one of my videos where I showed you how much it costs to fully upgrade the Muramets and a Dazzler weapon during an upgrade superdrive event. Speaking of the Muramets, this brings me to a question that I keep getting throughout the last months. My Muramets get stuck after a land and I can't move anymore. What should I do? This is a bug that has been active for many months and that for some reason has never been resolved by Pixonic. Good news, if you play on a mobile device, you can rotate your screen when a bug happens, like here. This will make your Muramets move again, once. If you launch it in the air again, you will have the same issue again, but at least it's a temporary fix. So that concludes the third part of Fundamentals of Hangar development. I hope that you found this episode useful. Don't forget to share this video if you think that it may be useful for some of your friends too. As always, your feedback is greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot for watching and see you on my channel.